I'm Tony Pulis.
And I'm Mick McCarthy, and welcome to The Managers.
Man City, for me, I think Pep looks a lot happier. My only problem with Man City is I can't see anybody else scoring goals.
Liverpool, they are nowhere near like the team that played and won the league at a canter last year.
They used to pin teams in, Mick. It was really, really difficult. Nuno has looked empty to me. Now he's going to have to get his mojo back, and pretty quickly.
First fundamental thing is for me, for any club, is to don't get outrun, don't get outworked, don't get outfought. And if that's what's happening at your club, you're going to have a tough time. Welcome back to the show. And for all the links, you can head to themanagerspod.com. Right, lots to talk about, Tone, so let's get on with it.
Arsenal, I think, is the first starting point. Personally, before you say anything, Mick, I think the way they're playing at the moment, the way they're set up, they're going to get a lot of clean sheets, and clean sheets reward Premier League.
That's boring, Tone.
Yeah, I know.
Sheets, isn't it?
Clean sheets, set plays, playing forward, big, strong team, Mick. Yeah, we don't know nothing about that, do we?
It reminds me something of you, that, Tone, to be honest with you. The Medic 4 wins at on Sunday with a 1-0 victory over Crystal Palace. I mean, I watched the game, and somebody's saying to me, it wasn't a good game, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. I said it was for Arsenal.
Yeah.
You don't look back, they only 1-0 victory. In fact, when you've played like that, and you've got through it and won 1-0, that is one when you go home. You love it, don't you?
It was international, European week as well, so both clubs had played in Europe. So it's the third game on the bounce, and you know what it's like, Mick. Leading into that third game, you're always a little bit concerned about the players and their preparation and everything else. Palace have been very, very difficult to break down.
They were Thursday, though, Tom, weren't they? They played on Thursday, which is the...
Yeah, but they're difficult to break down. You know, the way they play really tight inside the pitch. They allow people outside, but they don't allow people going through them. And it was always good. If you look at it, it was always going to be a tough game. I actually think Palace have got a good record playing against Arsenal away. I think the record is not bad. So Arteta said after the game how pleased he was. He thought that was the best result of the season. And putting everything in the mix, you look at it and you think, yeah, that is a great result.
Well, as you know, I'm not a super fan of Arsenal, but bearing it as one of my predictions, and they won 1-0, I was delighted even more so, because I'm getting closer to you now. The 4 points clear at the top, Tone, 6 of Man City. 7 clear of Liverpool, but I mean, we'll get on to Liverpool.
Well, Man City, for me, I think Pep looks a lot happier, or he seems a lot happier with the team at the moment. My only problem with Man City is, and they do play some great football at times, I can't see anybody else scoring goals. I'm looking at the team and I'm thinking, who else is going to score? If they're not going to score off set plays or whatever, who alongside Haaland is going to get the goals? And the difference between City's team now and City's team 4 or 5 years ago, you could pick 3 or 4 players every week and think they're going to be on the score sheet. Now you're looking at Haaland, and there's who else? I'm not sure. Has anybody got 2 goals, 3 goals this season apart from Haaland in what is a team that has the most possession of any team in the Premier League?
I think we saw last season, didn't we, when he was injured. They struggled. They didn't score. They had the worst season under Pep that they've had. But I'm looking at I'm trying to look at all the games in midweek. You know, flicking around the TV, and I put it on at 2-0 in the European game.
Yes.
Forgive me, I can't remember who they played. But they were usual. They kept the ball. The 2-0 up, destroyed the game.
Yeah.
They're brilliant at that, without any doubt. But then coming home and losing to Villa, it's a bad result for them.
Yeah, I think he's one of the great managers of Premier League history, and you know he's actually put in place a system that a lot of young coaches have followed. And I do like him individual as a person as well. I think he's a good fella. But I do think that if they played through the pitch quicker, if they had more people who could take people on and create opportunities and chances, and 1 or 2. Now, whether he waits till the window opens again and gets someone else in, I don't know. But they do need, without a question of it, they need other people to come in and help Haaland, because he's not going to score all the time.
No, he's not. It's interesting, though. I think that some have lost the fear factor. Some of the teams have lost the fear factor about Manchester City, whereas the ones that sit back and just, block them off, it does make it really difficult. It makes the games boring as well.
Yeah.
Because Man City will take all the time trying to find the pass.
And I think this happens in the Premier League. The Premier League have got some of the best coaches in the world. If you look at Man City now, teams have gone, if we drop off and play really deep, they're only going to leave 2 at the back. That's the 2 centre-halves. And if we can get the first or second pass off, we're on the back of them and we can create opportunities ourselves. And like you say, I don't think the fear factor is there. They've got Haaland. Who else is going to score? So that's taken the fear factor away. I also think if you look at what the coaches are talking about with Liverpool, we're going to Liverpool in a minute, and people are saying, well, the way to play against Liverpool is to play forward quickly. Is to play forward and run forward. And if you do that, you'll create opportunities. And I think, even Slotter's come out and said it, teams are now playing more direct against us. They've worked us out a little bit in what we're trying to do, and now we've got to try and find a way to compensate for what they're doing. So it's interesting, Mick, how it flips. It flips.
I think it's brilliant.
Because, of course it is.
At one point, I played for City, and because I support them on to win. It was getting a little bit boring when they would just keep drilling it. They were winning it. So a change of it. And of course, Liverpool win, we'll get onto them now. You're saying that people are changing about how they play against them. They are nowhere near like the team that played and won the league at a canter last year. I mean, I've watched them in the last couple of games, and looking at them against Brentford, and we'll get onto Brentford and Keith, of course, how well he's done.
Yeah.
Because we thought it might be a struggle having losing Thomas Frank and players being sold. They're doing brilliant, but long throwing.
Yeah,
but it was awful defending. By the way,
it was. But if you look at the Liverpool team compared to the team they've had in the past, for me the 2 fullbacks have been such a big miss for them. Robertson and
Arnold, yes, come on,
they were for me the special players in the team because they brought Salah and the other wide player in to occupy the back 4, and then the fullbacks would push on. So invariably they'd have 5 players attacking, and Robertson and Arnold were absolutely fantastic in the final third. The quality of the crosses, the quality of the balls they got in there. And they used to pin teams in, Mick. It was really, really difficult. I don't see these 2 fullbacks. The young lad from Northern Ireland, I think he's going to be a good player, but he's young and he's a little bit immature in lots of ways. The other thing that
I actually thought he was a better defender than
Alexander
Arnold, to be honest with you, but not as good a footballer.
No, and the other thing is that the one thing I noticed the other week, which again I think he's better. I watched him play for Northern Ireland the other day, and I thought he was superb. He some great crosses in. Every time he got it, he touched back and played back, which annoys me like you cannot believe it. And the other lad who's come from Bournemouth, he looks like it's too much for him at the moment. He's gone from a smaller club, no disrespect to Bournemouth, up to Liverpool with all the pressure, taking over from Robertson, who was absolute hero there. And it just looks as though it's too much. Now, he spent £450 million this year on improving a team that won the league in a canter last year. And I'll let you get on to the forwards and the people he's brought in. But I look at
I'd much prefer to analyse the defenders, to be honest with you.
I look at the structure, and I just think the 2 most progressive players in Liverpool's team were the 2 fullbacks. And that's come out. They've lost that.
Wirtz, as well, I think, has struggled to settle in.
Yeah.
Isaac, who after so much of... the impact it was having on Newcastle when somebody just says, I'm not going to play.
It affects the player as well.
It affects the player, of course it does. And actually, I think what people tend to forget, they go, well, footballers are all the same. They're not. They all have to move. They all have to bring the families. They all have to go and settle in Liverpool. And actually settle in Liverpool, or wherever they are, to play for Liverpool, is not the easiest thing in the world when you've had to uproot your kids, maybe your wife, your kids, all of that, and go in a different place. You have to settle in. You have to get it. And by the way, you're replacing a team that won the Premier League at an absolute canter.
Yeah.
But they've not started anything like. I mean, he's then got his problems with Salah, of course, because he left him out. I mean, I don't understand it. I'm reading about it, so I don't do social media.
Yeah.
But he went off social media, he said something. Get in and see the manager if you're unhappy with him. Tell him if you think he's wrong. By all means, my door was always open. Please, come on in, sit down, say your piece. But remember, I'm having my piece as well once you've said yours. So go and say it. But that looks to have upset the whole apple cart.
I used to have Kempy waiting by the door, and the lads would walk up and Kempy go, yeah, good time to see him, go in and see him. And then he'd go, not a good time to see him, come back in a couple of hours' time. So he would let him know what I was like in that moment, whether I'd had a grumpy one on or whether I was quite happy to speak to him.
For a team, though, that won it at a canter, it's incredible that they've lost 4 league games on the bounce. They had a great result in midweek in the Champions League, but then coming and I don't want to demean Brentford's role in this, by the way, because Keith's doing great and it's a great performance by them. But Liverpool look half the team that they were last season.
Yeah, we talk about that, and I think in the press, and you just mentioned the press and the media and how it can make or break you. Something that they're always, in the end, it's just common sense. They do it because of the supporter base. But it's amazing. Brentford played so well and did what they're good at so well. Yet after the game, everybody's talking about how bad Liverpool were. Yeah. Nobody mentioned what Keith has done there. Now, Keith has been, right at the beginning of the season when he lost most of his goals. He lost his captain, who was very influential at the football club for a long time. He lost the 2 the 2 forwards who were scoring all the goals, and everybody thought they'd struggle. He's replaced them with a couple of people. He spent over £1 million.
Thiago was the right hand.
Well, Thiago was injured.
Yeah, he was. He was there already.
He was already there. But Keith had great faith in him that he would produce the goods this year. And I really do think Keith needs a lot of credit, not only for bringing the 2 lads he's brought in. Now, I don't think Nelson's played yet, has he? He hasn't started a game. They spent big money on him from Arsenal. The lad from Bournemouth has scored a couple of goals and looks as though he'll cause problems. I think he goes out of the game a little bit, comes into the game, but one thing, he's a leg beater and he can do stuff that other people can't do. And when you're like Brentford, you need 1 or 2 of them in your team to win football matches. He's done a fabulous job, and I do get annoyed at times. Obviously, we've been there.
Yes,
you win those. You beat the big teams, Mick.
It doesn't look like a flash in the pan either, because
they
go to West Ham and win with a really good performance. And then they get Liverpool come in, and to be fair, they slapped them. They really did. And it was a great performance, great result. Liverpool, though, they've conceded 14 goals. Arsenal's only conceded 3. And we both predicted Liverpool for the league.
Well, it's going to. I still think it's going to be the top 3, Mick. I think it'll be Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City.
Are we sticking to it?
Yeah.
Your selection to win?
Well, no, I'm not sure. Not sure now. Not sure.
I'm backing out already. I've got a reverse. Sorry. Beep. I'm reversing out of that one. Right, Tom, we've discussed all of that. Bring this section to an end. Is it Arsenal's title to lose, do you think?
Well, about 4 weeks ago, we were saying that it couldn't be anybody else but Liverpool. So that's how quickly it turns. But Arsenal look, at this present moment, Mick, clean sheets. They look as though they're going to score goals in free play and offset plays. They look the team at the moment, Mick.
3 goals conceded, Liverpool 14. Yes, as much as I hate saying it, I think we probably got it wrong and Arsenal are going to win it.
The Managers with Mick and Tony is powered by BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. And why is BOYLE Sports the home of the early payout? I hear you ask. Well, with BOYLE Sports, if your team goes 2 goals up, you win. Job done. You're getting paid out. Singles, ACCAs, bet builders, it's all covered. And this also means that we need to reconsider some crucial games across your careers, Mick and Tony. In fact, I'm going to take you back to the Britannia Stadium, Halloween 2009, the first time Mick McCarthy meets Tony Pulis in the Premier League. Stoke go 2-0 up. But Mick, your Wolves team come back, draw 2-2. And I'm sorry, Mick, I'm taking the point off you. Because of BOYLE Sports' new laws, I'm afraid Stoke won that game. Congratulations, Tony.
Thank you.
There you go. So get paid out as a winner if your team goes 2 goals ahead, even if they go on to win, lose or draw. 90 minutes only, applies to singles and multiples. 18 plus, T's and C's apply. Back yourself with BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. Head to boylesports.com or download the app to find out more.
Right on, we've just waxed lyrical about Brentford and Keith Andrews. Deservedly so, I might add. So let's chat about some of the others. And my old team, Sunderland, and of course Bournemouth, which is, I suppose, close to your
Yeah, well, if you look at it, in the top, those 2 teams are in the top 4. You know, it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's great for the Premier League. I think it's absolutely fantastic when you get clubs like that. Sunderland, you know, Bournemouth have been there. They're pretty established now as a Premier League club. Sunderland have just got promoted. They've got a young manager. They've recruited. They've spent a lot of money, but they've recruited really well, and the results speak for themselves. That you know they've been absolutely, you know, they've just blown everybody away. Everybody, before the season started, they were absolutely prime in everybody's bottom 3, apart from Sunderland supporters.
They came up via the playoffs.
Yeah, you got it.
You know, it wasn't like they won the league at a canter and thought they're going to come up. I'm delighted, and of course, watching them beat Chelsea, I was even more delighted because I've had a few clips at Chelsea with Sunderland, with Wolverhampton. When you go there, and they're a really good team, it's a hard place to play. But yeah, to watch them, the way they played as well,
yes, and
then nick it right at the very end was just special. It is, and you know what? Saying it, how refreshing it is to see the way they played as well. They've not gone in and, yes, they've had to defend, but that wasn't their sole intention. They went and played and had a go at them.
Well, I watched the Bournemouth game yesterday against Forest. I want to see how Dyche did and everything else. Bournemouth are absolutely fantastic. They play with so much energy. They had, I think, 2 kids on the pitch yesterday. They had a centre-half making his debut. The centre-forward's only very, very young. And, you know, you're playing against a very, very experienced Nottingham Forest team. They just run them into the ground, mate. Yeah. First half was just absolutely fantastic. You know, it's old-fashioned. It was just pass and move all over. You know, run hard, run more than what the opposition do, compete more than what the opposition do. And Sean would be absolutely gutted because that first half, if you actually laid down the principles, the basic principles that you worked as a manager to get from a team, Bournemouth came on top on everything. And I mean everything. It wasn't just the way they played, it was the way they fought, the way they run. You know, it was just an absolutely fantastic performance from them. Now, whether Forest had got a bit of a reaction from Europe, I've been there, and you can get that reaction, especially away from home. I'm not sure, but it's certainly a wake-up call for Sean, but my goodness, it's a real tap on the back for Bournemouth.
Yeah, you know about that as well. Playing in midweek and then having to play on the Saturday, but Bournemouth. I didn't watch the game, but they are just flying. Are the Champions League contenders the way they're playing?
Well, I'm not sure they've got the depth in the squad to see them through. But the manager there has done an absolutely fantastic job. Again, Mick, and I'll say it again, the recruitment, because the recruitment's taken now out of the hands of most coaches. The people at Bournemouth, the people who behind the scenes who've been doing the recruitment, they've brought some absolute fantastic players in. You know, you look at clubs down the bottom who are struggling. You look at recruitment at some of the clubs like West Ham and this, that. You go through and say, that hasn't been too good. Bournemouth, Brentford. You look at Brighton. You look at those smaller clubs established in the Premier League. Now they're brilliant.
You have to sign players, Tone, don't you? That one that suit the manager, the way he wants to play.
Yeah.
How he deals with them.
Yeah. How
the club is perceived.
Yeah.
You know, if you're at Bournemouth and you sign some big superstar and he comes in and he wants to play like a superstar, that ain't going to work. But none of them have. They've all gone in and worked their absolute socks off. Anytime I've watched them play, they're just so hard-working, so dedicated to where the managers set them up, and they press
I think the 3 clubs we mentioned there, I think they'll have an association with the manager. I think the recruitment team will be close to the manager. They will know the identity that manager wants from his players. And I think if you have a look at Areola and what he's done at Bournemouth, one of the main things, he's a little bit Bielsa-ish, they get after the ball. They don't stop running. And from speaking to people at the club and this, that and the other, if they don't run, they don't play. And it's not a bad thing, Mick, is it?
First port of call, isn't it, when you go in? If you get outrun, you're in trouble. Sunderland, going back to Sunderland, it's a similar feeling when Reedy brought Sunderland back up in '99. They finished 7th that season. I think he deserves a mention. They finished 7th that season. But how much will getting 40 points still be the priority? It's not 40 now, is it? But what have they got now? 17?
Reedy's one of the...
But we've got to give him a mention.
Reedy's one of the biggest characters.
He's brilliant
in football,
and he was fabulous at Sunderland. Yeah, we've done Brentford, we've done Keith. How well he's done. Those teams, and I'm loving to see it. It's a change at the top of the table. It's a change to see the top 6, where teams Sunderland, Bournemouth, Brentford, all doing well, and actually, their fans can be proud of them. I think they're just doing great jobs.
Well, and this is another thing. If you're looking at Man United and the stick that they've had from the supporters and the press and everything, but Brighton, Bournemouth,
I think they're 7th now.
Yeah, no, Brighton, Bournemouth, and they haven't got that expectation. So the manager and the players are not working at that expectation. But once you join once you're in a big club, then you certainly, if things ain't going well, you certainly get it, and as much as I do. You can have it in spades, and that we haven't mentioned United. United's they've 3 games on the bounce now. So
well, I said 7 because I had a quick look at the league this morning. I'm just flicking through, on my phone, and suddenly Manchester United are in the top 10. They were down. The thing everybody's talking about relegation. They have 3 wins on the bounce, and we're now looking at 6th. So forgive me, I said 7th. Anyway, it's not the first time I'll be wrong, or the last. Right, Tom, we've discussed top teams, who's going to win it, who's not going to win it, and our predictions. I don't think, did we predict them for going down? I'm not sure, but whether we did or we didn't. We've got Forest, West Ham, Wolves. Wolves are bottom, West Ham are 19th, Forest are 18th. Thoughts on that?
Well, I'll start with West Ham. The chairman and the football club over the past 4 or 5 years have spent an absolute fortune. We're just talking about recruitment and bringing players in.
They've not skimped. That's for
no,
sure.
They certainly haven't skimped, and they pay really, really good money there. And I know the supporters will be looking at different this, that, and the other behind the scenes, but it looks as though the club have spent, for me, from an outsider, it looks as though over those years they have spent a hell of a lot of money, but the recruitment has been pretty poor. And we've just had that stat, Mick, about them conceding, what was it, 10 goals
10 goals
off
from
corners
yeah.
So far out of 9 games. It's just, if you're going to do that, then that's going to take you nowhere. The other thing is, and the point I'll have to make, the manager's podcast, this, that, and the other. The first 2 games I've watched, and I've watched the first 2 games, Nuno has looked empty to me, and sometimes now he's going to have to get his mojo back, and pretty quickly. Sometimes you have a job. And the job is you've been there, I've been there, it tires you out, it wears you down. He's come out from Nottingham Forest, where he's had a very difficult chairman to work with, from what I know and what I've heard.
He hadn't had bad results, of course, because he'd qualified for Europe. So,
but then he's jumped straight out of the frying pan into the fire with West Ham. And, he personally, I always look at the managers, I always look at their demeanour and everything else. And Nuno looked empty, Mick, to me. I don't know, other people might see it differently. He really needs an injection now, because that team needs organising and sorting out. Now, he hasn't had a lot of time there. I don't think he's had a free week to work with the team. So that's coming. So we've got to give him that in lieu. And hopefully, Mick, he shakes off all the stuff and clears his mind and gets on with the job.
He wasn't sacked. He wasn't sacked for bad results, was he? Sacked for some falling out, I think, with...
Forest.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's qualified for Europe the season before and had a great season. Everybody's waxing lyrical about him. So I'll tell you, I know, because if you're having really bad results, and I remember it when we the 3rd season at Wolves, we're looking like we're going down, and you do start to drain. And when I'd left the club, if somebody had said to me, come back and take another club straight away, I was relieved to be on my jollies and away from it. And,
Yeah.
and people might go, well, yeah, because it takes its toll on you, and it takes your toll on your family and your wife and everybody around you when you're getting beat. So
nobody talks about that,
I
Mick.
get that.
As a manager, you've got to, my first job, I can always remember we had a trainer at Bournemouth called John Kirk, and he said, you don't know what management is about until you sit in the chair and sit in that seat. You can do all the courses, you can do everything that you think is right to lead you into that, but until you sit there, you don't know what it's like.
No, we know what Billy Connolly said, don't judge a man until you've walked a mile in his shoes. And then when you have, sod him because you're a mile away and you've got his shoes. I'm not so sure that covers it for football managers, but it's always funny anyway. So, let me tell you, my worry would be having Paquetá. I told you about marking Roden from corners.
Well, it's ridiculous.
Just the way they mark. I mean, I watch some teams, they've all got hold of them, which I don't, not even looking at the ball. Have a look, got both. Can I see the ball? Can I see me player? Get hold of them. But do your job. And as far as, Paquetá, wonderful, talented footballer, but have a run around. Get hold of somebody. Stop him heading the ball in your net. The fundamentals that you have to do to going to start winning games. Because if you've conceded 10 goals from corners from 9 games, you're going to get relegated.
Yeah.
And by the way,
yeah.
And was the stat something how many kilometres less that West Ham ran than the opposition? You know full well. If you run less than the opposition, all right, if you've got the best team, you can keep the ball. But if it's 50-50 and you're having a scrap, the team that runs more likely to win it. The first fundamental thing is for me, for any club, is to don't get outrun, don't get outworked, don't get outfought. And if that's what's happening at your club, you're going to have a tough time. And, looking at Nuno, sorry for him because he's done... We're going down to Wolves. He was brilliant at Wolves, what he did there.
Yeah.
And great respect for him, but he's having a tough time.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'd talk about them all. Forest, I'll talk about Wolves. I mean, I'm amazed at how it's gone so wrong. Where does it go wrong? Where does it go wrong? Has sold too many players? I don't know. I haven't been following Wolves in terms of how many players they've bought, what they've sold, but they're rock bottom. And they're playing Burnley yesterday, and I'm looking at it. They're 2-0 down, and I'm thinking, oh no, that's get back to 2-2 and lose it in the 96th, 97th minute. I know, if that's happening to your team and you're conceding like that, that's a relegation team.
My big thing, Mick, was always that, and you'll be the same, if things are not going well, what you do, you actually cut everything back and get back to basics. And one of the basic principles, if you want to stay up, is clean sheets. You might not,
Arsenal, 3 goals.
You might not be scoring a lot of goals during the game, but if you're not conceding, you've got a great opportunity to pick points up. And looking at them conceding 3 goals at home to Burnley, no disrespect to Burnley, there's got to be something wrong. I've not seen Wolves this year, and so I can't comment too much, but their results paint a picture. And they're going to have to address it. There's a long way to go. There's lots of points to play for, and a lot of work that needs to be done and can be put in place to turn the tide. And for Wolves supporters, being at West Brom and Stoke, maybe I'm not so keen that they do that well, Mick.
Yeah, I mean it was turned around last year. Coming did a great job. Is it always? I mean, I've been at Wolves and I was that soldier. You get in, you get them promoted, you're fighting, scrapping away, you stay up for the second season, third season. It was ever spiralling down, and I hate to see it because it's such a brilliant club, but they look. Having watched that yesterday, just see that what happened at the very end of the game. It's going to be very, very tough for him to stay up.
Yeah,
and he's. I mean, the manager signed a new 3-year contract, but I think we discussed that before, whether that was to back him in front of the players and everybody thinks that, or we all know there's all sorts of ways that contracts can be written. But listen, I wish him well, but it's tough for him.
Before we wrap it up today, Mick, and you've been asking me all the questions, we have to talk about Coventry and Frank Lampard. 34 goals scored. He's doing a great job there. Can anyone stop him? And looking back at it, Mick, you had a similar run at Wolves.
Yeah, we did. I'm delighted for him as well because I keep backing him in my predictions. So I had him on the weekend and he won. I've got him this weekend as well. So come on, Frank. Anyway, we did. When we got promoted at Wolves, we started off. We went down to Plymouth, and I'm sure we drew down there and had a very uneventful game. It was Ollie who was there, of course.
Yeah.
We drew, I think it was 2-2. It didn't look like it was going to be a great start for us. Then did we lose one? We won 7 on the bounce. And then we come back again and we draw 1. I think we might have lost, and then we won another 7 on the bounce. So we've got 45, 46 points after 14 games or something, 16 games. We were way out
Miles in front.
Then, all of a sudden, injuries, something happens. We go 13 games without winning a game. And then we're going to Birmingham. They were chasing us and they beat us. We got a Reading there in the mix. They chased us. They beat us. Like own goal. It just looked like it was all going pairs. And we ended up. We had to have a reset. You're talking about.
Yeah.
We all get together. We have a chat. We can't let this go. Not after the start we're still top of the league, and so we go to Palace. We go down to Crystal Palace. Proper, tough, 1-0 victory. Don't matter what it was happening. So we've got Palace away, Sheffield Wednesday away. We do them both in the week with real, resolute, tough, no-nonsense performances that actually got us promoted. So all that free-flowing football, scoring goals, it was... Hey, by the way, I'm talking about one of my teams. When did that happen? But we'd won 2-7 on the bounce.
You're dreaming that, Mick.
I know. So 7 on the bounce, 7 on the bounce.
It's amazing.
And then all of a sudden it's catching us and we have to go back to basics, and we did it and we got promoted that year. We won the league. Coventry, I give them a mention, Frank, and how well he's doing. Come on, you know him.
Yeah,
Tell me about him.
he's obviously, I know Harry very well, and Harry and Frank Senior married sisters. So Harry's very close to Frank, gave him his debut, sent him out on loan to Swansea with the great Frank Burrows when he was only 17 years of age. I fancy going down to Swansea at 17 years of age and playing for Frank, who was a fantastic man, brilliant man, bless him. And then coming back, got in the team. The West Ham supporters didn't take to him. He was too slow, he was this, he was that. They sell him to Chelsea and everything blossoms. He becomes one of the great goal-scoring midfield players this country's ever seen,
Absolutely,
really. Now, he's had a couple of goes, Frank, at management, and it hasn't gone as well as what he thought it was going to go and other people thought it was going to go. And I think the character that he's shown to come back and do what he's doing at Coventry is absolutely fantastic. And what will happen is, whether they get promoted and it looks as though they've got a great chance, he's now pushed himself up the ladder. And I want to see British managers in the Premier League.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And he's given himself, because of what he's done as a player, playing for England, an absolute fantastic professional. This start at Coventry and the job he's doing there, I really do think that will push him on further down the line to hopefully get in a bigger club in the Premier League.
Yeah, because he had Derby, didn't he, before? Because he went to Chelsea as well. Was that the right time? I think he's proving now that especially after tough times, as you mentioned, if you can come back from that and then take over a Coventry team and running away with it at the minute, scoring goals for fun.
One other club I'd like to bring up, and you've had the experience of managing up there, playing up there, is Hearts. They've been taken over by Tony Bloom. One thing's for sure, the recruitment, looking at what he's done at Brighton, the recruitment for Hearts is going to be very, very good from now on in. He was at the game on Sunday, watched him on TV. He was doing somersaults after the game with his wife and I think his daughter, which was lovely to see. Unfortunately, Mick, they ended up beating Celtic. So, what's your take on Hearts? Can they win the league? Are they the best team in Scotland at the moment?
Well, it looks like it. They're 8 points clear. But, I go back to when I played there, when we had this 88, 89, 90. We'd go into Edinburgh and if we played Hibs, we'd say, shall we nip into Hearts and take the points? That's how good we thought we were, And we won the double that year. But Hearts have always been, well, I've had a couple of run-ins where I've been sent off twice against them as a player. And as a club, I've always thought, right in the city of Edinburgh, they're both them and Hibs, Proper teams. And it was great going and play there. And Derek McInnes, of course, I've managed against him. He was at Bristol City, he's been at Kilmarnock, he's had a number of other, Aberdeen, I think. And it's sort of just been, he did really well at Bristol City, I seem to remember. He had a good team there. And then he's just almost getting there with other teams. Anyway, as you said, with Tony Bloom and his recruitment, and Hearts is a great club, Derek's in there, they're 8 points clear. Slapped, well, I'm saying they slapped them. 3-1 looks like a slapping on the weekend.
I watched bits of it, and
it's a great result, though.
Yeah, we talk about what we think the principles of trying to get a team going and trying to get a team to win. They didn't stop running. The attitude of the team as a team, not as individuals, but as a team, was absolutely fantastic.
His Bristol City team were always similar, hard working. They played good football, but they were tough to play against. And he's got them 8 points clear. Well, quite clearly, Rangers aren't going to compete against them for the title, that's for sure. So it only looks like Celtic. And where's that gone wrong? I don't know. I didn't see the game, but to get beaten 3-1, that's a real great score for Hearts and a devastating one for Celtic.
The Managers with Mick and Tony is powered by BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. And why is BOYLE Sports the home of the early payout? I hear you ask. Well, with BOYLE Sports, if the team you back goes 2 goals up, you win, job done, you're getting paid out. Singles, ACCAs, bet builders, it's all covered. And this means we need to reconsider a crucial game in your career, Tony. I'm talking, of course, about the 1999 playoff final when your Gillingham team were 2 goals up with 5 minutes to play. Obviously, that means, in the eyes of BOYLE Sports, you have now won the Second Division playoff final, 1999. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And also, West Ham won the 2006 FA Cup final, which is great. And commiserations to Liverpool for not winning the 2005 Champions League. And obviously, now Gillingham have won the 1999 Second Division playoff final. Commiserations to Nicky Weaver and Manchester City. Yes, get paid out as a winner if your team goes 2 goals ahead, even if they win, lose or draw. 90 minutes only. Applies to singles and multiples. 18 plus. T's and C's apply. Back yourself with BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. Head to boylesports.com or download the app to find out more.
Right, Tone, it's 1918. That's not when you and I were born. That is the score at the moment between us and our predictions. So come on, give me yours now. Let me have them.
Well, I had a torrid last week. Just got 1-1 out of the 4. This week, Arsenal to beat Burnley. Arsenal on such a great run. I know they got a midweek game as well, and they'll be desperate to win that one. But I think they'll have just too much for Burnley, although Burnley have done brilliant. They've had a good start to the season, to their Premier League season. So I'll go in Arsenal. Then I'm going Birmingham to beat Portsmouth, my old club. And I had a great time at Pompey. I've got great respect for the area and for the supporters there. But I just think Birmingham are due a result. And I'm going for Birmingham there. My other old club, West Brom, to beat Sheffield Wednesday. I think, again, West Brom have been unlucky the last couple of games they've lost. They've played pretty well, but have lost games. They'll look to bounce back against Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday having a torrid time at the moment with the owner now leaving and it going into administration. It might be a weight off their shoulders, Mick, and they might perform. I'm not sure. And my last one, which is Port Vale, my big mate Darren Moore. If he loses to Malden, then I'm driving up to Stoke-on-Trent to sort him out.
I look forward to that one.
And my £10 returns £34, 43 pence, including the ACCA boost from BOYLE Sports.
Right, well, mine, I've I've gone for Newcastle to beat West Ham. If you've just listened to the podcast, you'll realise why. When I've just been speaking about West Ham, and Newcastle are flying at the minute. I think they're doing really well. Having lost Isak, and I really think it's going to go all wrong. It hasn't. And tell me his name. Yes, the big striker that's come in.
Not the 6'4".
Voltemada, yes. Who is 6'4" and scores goals with his head. They look like a really good team, I thought, this weekend. So I'm to beat West Ham. Charlton to beat Swansea. Charlton, they've had a great season so far.
Nathan.
I like Nathan. Nathan's got them going, he got them promoted. He's competing at the top end, and I don't see him. He won't let it go. He won't let him off the hook because he is, very diligent about his work.
Very competitive.
Very competitive, yeah. Coventry to beat Wrexham. Sorry, Wrexham, I keep beating, but you did me last week at Borough. So, but Coventry are just flying under Frank. I mean, we're just saying about how many goals.
I'm praying for the Welshman to win that game.
Yeah, that's not for the Welshman. That's for your own personal gain.
Yeah, but I'm Welsh.
Okay. And then I'd like to give you loads of reasons for Wimbledon to beat Gateshead in the Cup, but I probably can't, other than that Wimbledon are having a good season so far. I'm not sure what Gateshead are doing, but I'm taking Wimbledon to beat them in the FA Cup and get through to the next round. £10 returns, £75.60, including the Acca Boost from BOYLE Sports. Right, Tone, that's it for this week. And don't forget, if you want to email us with any of the thoughts or questions, you can get us via hello@themanagerspod.com. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, Mick.